Hey, everybody, we are live. I am Haley Gray, and I'm the group owner here in the Women's Entrepreneur Network. And this is my friend, Tasha Ina Church. And she is one of our One Live speakers. Hey, Tasha. And she is joining us from the amazingly beautiful island of Maui. And we're talking about empowerment, self-defense. And I mean, to me, this is one of the things that is like so important that we as women know, because a lot of times I think we're given kind of partial information or bad information. And Tasha is one of the go-to experts in the field. So welcome, Tasha.
Welcome. Thank you, Haley. Thanks for having me. I feel honored to be here. Oh, hello.
Hey, Meg.
Aloha, Meg.
How are you doing, darling? Yeah, and so we were talking before we got on about some of the stuff you do, and we were talking specifically about self-defense in a skirt. So explain what that is.
So what usually happens when you are dealing with an attack as a woman? Are you wearing sweats and a gi or something along those lines? Do you have full range of motion? Most of the time you don't. So for me, it was really important to be able to teach people wearing a dress, wearing skirts, wearing high heels, different stuff like that, where people would be able to understand that, yes, you can still defend yourself while wearing these different garments, and that's perfectly all right to wear whatever you choose to wear. I've been in situations where I'm learning from, a male instructor who's saying, oh, you better have your hair up, but it needs to be in a tight bun, and you shouldn't wear long earrings, and, it's just probably best if you don't wear a dress. And it's just like, wow, you are, it's almost victim blaming, because the fact is that women should have the right to wear whatever they want to. But it is important for you to have some different tools in your tool belt so that you can be able to defend yourself and feel safe wherever you go. And so for me, it was just really important for women to understand that as you're going through life, the situational awareness, de-escalation tactics, boundary setting, all of that goes into what to do when you may have to deal with a physical attack. If you run away from a situation, you're 50% less likely to actually get into that physical confrontation. If you add a voice, then that drops by another 20%. So I just finished talking to this amazing woman. She's a film producer, and she ended up having a situation happen with her when she was younger, where someone came up and he had a knife, and he was about ready to come up and stab her. And she actually just screamed. She screamed so loud that he dropped the knife, he covered his ears, and he ran away. And so just understanding that you have these different skills. A lot of times I have clients who say, oh, just show me the self-defense stuff. And I'm teaching them boundary setting, and I'm teaching them de-escalation tactics. And I'm saying, yes, I am showing you the self-defense stuff. We think that a self-defense only means physical, and and it really does not. That is a very minuscule part of what self-defense is. And I know that for me, and in all of the different situations that I've been in, because I used to go salsa dancing 5 nights a week. I've been in difficult relationships that were quite unsavory. And for me, using my voice, being very clear in different situations, got me out of a whole bunch more than me actually doing a physical move on someone, even though I have done that before, and it is very effective.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so important, because when it escalates to the point of getting physical,
Hmm.
women are at a huge disadvantage
So,
in
yeah,
general.
definitely. There's a lot of women um, who are at a disadvantage. My trainer for empowerment self defense, she was the first ever Olympic gold medalist in Taekwondo, and I would say I'm sorry to any man who would come across her path because she's just,
Hmm.
muscly and everything. But the thing for me is that basically, I'm 5'4".
Hmm.
I am definitely more petite. Uh, I want people to understand that I have worked with 300-pound men and thrown them over my shoulder and kept on just moving. So it's really important for women to
Right.
understand that you could be any size. It doesn't matter. You just have to have the right technique. You have to have the right tools. And not all of the tools that I work with are going to be 100% effective all across the board. But that's why it's important to go through and say, oh, this really resonates with me. Oh, I really like this one. Um, but the benefit of the work that I do is
Hmm.
basically I studied Japanese martial arts originally. So I studied for close to 8 years in a dojo. And my main style was Aikido, but I cross trained in seven other styles of or six other styles of Japanese martial arts. And then I studied some Tai Chi and some Chinese
Hmm.
uh, martial arts, along with Jeff Alexander, who taught Sylvester Stallone for the movies. He had a warrior spirit training, and then my most recent was empowerment self defense. And so, what I've done is basically gone, okay, so there's all of these moves. Here's everything out here. I'm going to dress up in high heels and a form fitting dress and have my self defense partner attack me, and let's see which ones are going to fit the bill. And so I've catered all of those down to, you have all of these different moves that lead up to, over 900 moves. And you probably are only going to use maybe 20. So just understanding that certain things are going to be more effective than others, depending on your size, depending on your ability. I worked and did a workshop with the blind last year, um, and that was just really I thought it was really wonderful. I love working with different groups because it challenges me to think out of the box. But then I ended up taking a blindfold, putting it over, and then having someone come up and just try different moves. And I was like, okay, that doesn't work, that doesn't work, that works, that works, let's go with this, go with that. And so then by the time I was able to actually go through and train this group of people, and it was more of um, a group bonding session than anything, because it wasn't a group of people that said, hey, I want to go do martial arts or something. It was more of like, you know I want to develop these skills. I want to feel safe when I go walking. So I've worked with people from all different backgrounds, and and obviously there are some people who aren't wearing dresses who are coming into my class, but I just like making sure that when I'm teaching, people understand that, oh, she's teaching in this, which could be a very big disadvantage, but she's making it work.
Right. I love the making it work.
Yeah.
So, what are some groups that you've tended to work with?
Love working with female entrepreneurs. I have worked with different organizations and businesses. It's amazing what happens when it comes to professional development groups, just
Hmm.
because basically what you're doing is you're teaching each other skills, but you're also learning each other's boundaries. And
Hmm.
so I worked with a group, an AmeriCorps group in Washington State, and they reported back to me that afterwards, they were setting clearer boundaries with each other. They were getting along better. I worked with couples in the past, and I actually loved it because uh, it was just this amazing transformation where the, couples come in all different shapes and sizes,
Right.
but there was one couple that I truly adore that actually were here and worked with me for 2 years. And just the huge change, because I remember the wife walking in and she had a very quiet voice and she became way more assertive as time was going on. And he was so appreciative he just was so appreciative of the fact that they moved to Oregon and he was kind of concerned, like, what is this going to look like? And just to have that confidence of, oh, okay, she has these skills. She will be safe. I feel better about this situation because I think that we have these preconceived notions that, oh, I need to have my partner protect me. And that partner is not always going to be there. And so it's just really important to understand that you have to be your own weapon. You can take care of yourself. Granted, if I'm drinking my tea or something like that, and I see somebody coming at me, I might throw the tea in that person's face. I might hit the person with my teacup. But the fact is that most of the time, what I'm using for tools is what I have on my body, on my person. So I like it because, in a high adrenaline, high stress scenario, there's the fight, flight, or freeze. And most of the time when we get stressed out, we freeze. That's common for a lot of people. Other people, it's just this automatic, like, I'm going to barrel through this, and that can be good. That may not be. So there's lots of different drawbacks and positives to any of the above. But understanding what kind of power you have and understanding that you have a voice. So coming back to your voice, coming back to just your breath and realizing, okay, I'm not breathing right now in this situation. I really need to figure out how to breathe, because if I could just breathe, then I could think. So I work with a lot of clients who have those different issues. But even so, when I was working at the Fairmont resort, so the Fairmont's one of the top resorts on Maui, and it was really interesting because it was a completely different clientele base. That I had, CEOs and executive directors and all of these really powerhouse people coming in and doing private sessions with me. And I was like, okay, what do you want to work on today? And I had a woman who, managed a large group of people. And she managed, a couple of different men who were old school, who were older than her. And they would sort of push her around a lot and come in late to meetings and, very, very disrespectful in a lot of different ways, but they wouldn't have seen it that way. And so we ended up spending the whole session just talking about that. Okay, how do you assert yourself when it comes to these different scenarios that you're in where there's gender based bias? How do you navigate those situations so that you are assertive and you're straightforward and they take you seriously? There's no absolutes when it comes to self-defense. There's no absolutes when it comes to the work that I'm offering. But what I do know is that I've done follow-up surveys with all of my clients, and there's such a huge improvement in their self-esteem, their self-worth, just how they carry themselves even. And I've done, I actually used to run programs for middle school and high school girls, and I did just get approval to work with a group of girls in high school, in middle school, at a private school on the island. And so I'm doing a 10-week program with them talking about self-esteem, body image, and self-defense training. So super excited about that. I also have a group online that I'm working with. So come January, there's a nonprofit that's pretty large that I'm not actually going to reveal yet, but the opportunity is there for me to be able to reach 20,000 girls. So I'm very excited for for this to be able to work with them online and build their self-esteem, build their confidence, also be able to teach empowerment self-defense to them and really have them have a better understanding of how to use their voice, because
Mhm.
especially when it comes to, I don't know if the viewers have daughters, but if you do, Haley, I know you have a daughter.
I do.
So, yeah, you have daughters, plural. But you want them to be able to assert themselves when they need to. You want to see them succeed. And somewhere
Yeah.
along the way, I know that even for me, even though I grew up with two parents who studied Goju-Ryu and taught and everything, along the way in school, I had to deal with bullying, and I
Mhm.
definitely had moments where I shut down. I became meeker. I just became people pleasy, and that wasn't very effective for me in the long
Mhm.
run. It was really important for me to learn skills and trainings, and so I have worked. Back in Washington, I had a program where I worked with girls, and it was for 3 years in schools. Um, oh, that's great! I love that.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of our problems here with my younger daughter.
Yeah.
She's a fourth degree black belt in Taekwondo, and quick to anger, quick to respond, quick to mouth off. Yeah, learning to pull back and when to respond and when not to respond is huge.
Yes. Yeah. So I mean, especially with martial arts, I know for myself, just from training and everything, the automatic response was just this. I want to hurt somebody. I want to
Mhm.
do this, and that isn't always the most effective way. So when you have these scenarios that you're in where somebody's trying to pick a fight with you, yeah, maybe the first thought is like, oh, I'm going to take them down. But really surveying the landscape, looking at your environment, trying to decide and see what is going to work, uh,
Mhm.
and possibly holding off. So I know that for me, I've taught a lot of verbal fighting skills.
Right.
One of my clients is she teaches verbal self-defense. And I'm like, yes, I do. Yes, I teach verbal self-defense. So
Right. And the not getting yourself into trouble and knowing how to respond and when to respond.
yes.
And measured response is a thing. I mean, kid decided to push Xena around a few weeks ago at a school event, and she didn't
Oh my.
respond the first time he pushed her.
Yeah.
She only hit him back the second time, and then he went whining to the faculty that he'd been hit in the face after slamming her against a rail.
Wow. Yeah. So
He's lucky to be alive.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm happy that she's okay after. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
She's
Yeah.
fine. She just had some bruising.
So,
But
well, part of it, so I remember in schools, one of the things that we would do is I also helped and I would sit in with disciplinary action for students. And so I remember this student who was saying, oh, he hit me, he punched me, and I kept on looking at the student. I just had this strange feeling, and I said, okay, so walk me through the scenario. What happened? And then come to find out, the little boy had called the other little boy's mom a couple of very unsightly names, and yeah, he ended up taking a swing at him, and then afterwards the faculty was up in arms and everything. But it was a great learning experience, actually, because it was like, okay, well, I hear both sides. Do I think that it's okay that this person hit you? Absolutely not. Do I think it was okay that you said something about his mom? No. So here's what you can learn from those different types of scenarios. And I think that it is really important to understand the impact of words and the things that you have to say, and also de-escalation tactics. I've had people who have said some pretty cruel things in my life, and there are different ways of handling that. You can get angry and you can say something back with foul language and everything else, or you can look at them and say, good to know, thanks, have a great day. And I have de-escalated so many different situations from that, in my younger years, when I used to like to go out dancing or something along those lines, and someone's in a club, they've been drinking too much, and I say no to dancing with them. It's just those things. It escalates, and then you have to defer, because usually what happens with an attacker or someone who might be harming you emotionally in some way is that there's a linear thought that they have. Even with someone who's trying to rob you, there's the linear thought that they want to take something from you. An attacker, I want to, assault you. These are different things that that are a plan, and basically your goal is to disrupt that plan. So,
yeah, no, I love it. And I mean, it's that disruption pattern.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, I work with people in different groups and organizations, all the way up to large groups and nonprofits, do public speaking. And then also I've been lately, just because of COVID and everything else, I've actually been doing a lot of one-on-one online coaching. And so a lot of people think, oh, how do you even do that? But what has been interesting, and I think for all of us as we are pivoting, there are these different challenges. So how do you bypass those challenges and be able to work with people where they're at? And I've noticed that a lot of my clients, they don't just need all of these physical skills, which we do go through. We go through heel palm smash, or we go through a knee to the groin, or all of these different types of self-defense moves, which work and are great. But then also, if someone is just having a stuck point or a barrier in life, then it's something that we can actually discuss and work through. So I've done a lot of empowerment coaching with my clients, where I'm able to help them through these different scenarios that they otherwise felt stuck in. So I had one client who I was working with her. She's actually a coach as well, and she had COVID. And so we ended up doing work on more of empowered healing and focused on more of our breath. So focusing on breath work and moving that energy around and working with that. And she was actually saying that she felt like she could breathe better than she could before COVID. So that was a really exciting moment for me to just reaffirm that, yes, it can be done over Zoom, can be done anywhere. You just have to have the focus and the mindset and be able to work with people where they're at.
Yeah, no, and some of the best self-defense stuff I see, and that empowerment, that discipline, the communication, all has very little to do with the physical techniques.
Yes, absolutely. And part of it is just knowing that you are worth speaking up for, knowing that you have a voice and that it matters. And so a lot of times we just don't speak up. I had a client, who was telling me this story about her childhood, and it was really sad, but she just had these different scenarios happen, and she was telling me that at the time she just didn't feel like she had a right to say anything.
Right.
I said, well, it's I'm sorry that that experience happened. Um, my goal is to help you so that in the future, you know that you do have the right to say something.
Right.
You always have a right to say something when something unsavory is happening to you, or you are in an unhealthy dynamic or relationship. So being able to have the tools in order to do that, that's what is the challenge for a lot of
Mhm.
people. Because how many times have you been in a scenario where you're dealing with someone and it's feeling extremely unhealthy, but you said nothing? Like, for people watching, that might be a question that you have to pose to yourself. I know that for myself, I've definitely been in situations where somebody has said certain things to me, and I just pause and I think, yeah, that doesn't feel good at all.
Right.
I don't like this situation that I'm in. And
Mhm.
understanding, okay, well, I am in this situation. What can I do? How can I navigate it? What do I need in order to get me out of this situation, or what do I need to set as far as a boundary with that person or with myself in order to get me out of another situation? I know that I've worked with some different clients. Like, I had a client who she had people who were just nonstop calling her after 10 p.m.
Mhm.
From her job. And how many times have we
Oh
been
my gosh.
in those situations where um, it's not. I know that for me, if I'm sending somebody a message, usually, and it's late, I'm thinking they're going to get it in the morning.
Right. Yeah. No.
You
And
know,
I mean, there are some people who expect that like instantaneous response. And it's not even like, hey, this isn't even urgent. Not really, but I'm messaging you at midnight and I'm expecting a response right now.
yeah,
And there's
yeah,
no life or death to it.
yeah, yeah. And so for her, it was about being okay with setting a schedule and a do not disturb on her phone. That was the session.
Mhm.
But knowing that you are setting a boundary for yourself,
Mhm.
because some of the best boundaries, some of the most effective boundaries, are the ones that we actually set with ourselves. For me, I know that in the past I've dealt with some abusive relationships, and I realized, gosh, I don't have to stay. I don't have to deal with this
Mhm.
scenario. I don't have to go to dinner if I know that this person is going to want us to go halvesies on dinner, and they make 4 times as much as I do. Like, I don't have to. And so I started realizing, okay, how can I assert myself? What are the things that I needed to do? It was really hard at the time because I was a lot younger. But me being able to just say, I think that if you want to go out and you want to get yourself dinner, you should go do that. If you're thinking about buying us dinner, I'm more than willing to join you. But then it would set the expectation, knowing that if he wanted me to come, then he was going to have to pay.
Right.
Uh, yeah, that's a whole other realm. I remember working with a lot of women earlier on, and it had to do with a lot of relationship dynamics,
Mhm.
and that's been an interesting journey. I mean, for me, I've been with my partner for over 7 years. We have a very loving, very playful relationship. Although I do think that our neighbors probably think we have a domestic violence issue, because I have like these little fuzz balls, and basically, whenever I get really frustrated, I'm like, "Gosh, dang it!" and I throw the fuzz ball, or he'll throw the fuzz ball at me, and then you'll just hear him scream, "You hit me in the head!" And I'll say, "You deserved it." Um, so, I think that, and it's nice. It's nice to be in this relationship now, but all of those other relationships that I was in, where I had to learn boundary setting, I realized I had to go through those in order to get to a space where I can just automatically say, nope, that doesn't work for me. I remember when we were early on dating, and I actually just helped one of my clients, one of my high school clients who's going into college with this. But she was saying, he calls and he wants to hang out like the next day, and sometimes I'm really busy, but I try and move my schedule around. I was like, no. If it is a Wednesday and he's trying to hang out with you on Friday, you are busy. And she was like, well, but I really want to see him. And I said, if it works, then that's great. But if you feel like it's a burden, if you suddenly feel like this is taking time away and you have to do all this juggling to make someone else happy, you might be busy doing your nails and eating a pint of ice cream while watching Princess Bride, and being okay with that, understanding that that's totally valid. I ended up doing not the whole pint of ice cream and Princess Bride thing, but I did end up telling my boyfriend that several times at the beginning of the relationship, because he'd be like, oh, let's hang out tomorrow. And he lived 3 hours away. And I'm like, no, I'm busy. If you want to get together, maybe you should schedule earlier. So he would schedule 2 weeks ahead.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So when it comes to self-defense, a lot of people, they think this narrow focus on physical skills. It is so much more than physical skills. So a lot of different times I've worked with groups, and they think that they're coming in for a self-defense class, and they're like, where are the kicks, where are the punches, all that stuff. And I'm like, well, I think you mean a martial arts school. I think you're thinking about going to a martial arts school. But if you're wanting to learn self-defense, like an actual scenario where somebody's grabbing your hair, what do you do? These are all great things to learn and know. One of my favorite moves, I'll just share so that the group can get some sort of self-defense move out of this, is there's a V right along here where your throat is, and I do this move called Scout's Honor. So we're here. I changed all the names because there's definitely other names for them if you are, in a martial arts class or something. But for me, I predominantly am working with female entrepreneurs and different people who don't normally take self-defense martial arts classes per se. So what I'm doing is I'm welding my fingers together. I'm feeling right along here, and then you're actually poking into that person's throat. So if you're doing that at high speeds, it's a doozy. So I know that for myself, I have actually used this move before, and it knocks someone out pretty bad.
Yeah.
But
well, and a lot of people are like, we'll go for the groin.
Okay, yeah. So that great.
I just take that like elephant in the room, because a lot of people first assume that going for the groin is going to work.
Okay. Yes. So let's just talk about that, because that was something that I talked about today in my 7-day challenge that I'm doing in the When Women Rise group. So for the groin, I've had so many different, I've gone to self-defense classes where the guys are teaching and it's like, oh, go for the groin. No,
Right.
no. Here's a couple of reasons why. I know for a fact with my partner, he has learned to protect that thing with his life. So there's that factor.
And you're trying to hit a target that they're used to protecting.
They're used to protecting, yeah.
And now, and I'm posting your Facebook group in the link here. But the thing is that if you're even off by a little bit, you're going to miss, and you're going to hit them in the leg, or you're going to hit them in the hip, or wherever, and you're not going to do any damage, and then you've just pissed them off.
Yes. So there's that. Also, if somebody is on PCP or they're on different drugs, they're actually not going to feel it until the next day. So that's something that for me, it's not my go-to. If anything, what I might do is I'd do a heel palm smash to the face. So you have the nose, the chin,
Lots
you
of
can do
good
the
targets
forehead.
in the
Yeah,
face.
lots of great targets in the face. The throat is a great area. So one of the activities that I do with new students is I'm like, okay, I give people stickers and I let them put on the other person different striking points. So even people who say, I don't know how to do self-defense, they come up with the most creative ways. One person put a sticker on their tooth and they were like, I'd bite them. I'm like, okay, well, go you. This is awesome that you have all these skills. So understanding that you have lots of different skills and tools in your tool belt, but that going for the groin is not my go-to. I might do a heel palm and then, the hands come up. Then, wow, perfect. Grab the hands, do a hit to the groin. But the fact is that that's not my main focus the first time that I'm
Yeah.
actually doing a strike. The other thing,
Knees,
oh,
ankles, feet. There's
yeah,
so many better targets.
yes, there's lots. And then also just understanding that, you want to keep on going. So if you just do one and then suddenly it's like, oh, they're not down yet. They keep on coming at me. Oh no, you want to just keep on doing moves. So you have your heel palm, you have your elbows. You can do those strikes. You can use your knees. You can use your feet. Um, a lot of people are worried about ground fighting, and I think when I'm on the ground, I can actually maneuver really well. And if I need to, I can actually do an axe kick to the face. I can do an axe kick to the groin. There's lots of different things that I can do if I need to. I can take out a kneecap. It only takes 8 pounds of pressure to break a kneecap. Who knew? Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the point, is that there's so many better targets. But this is awesome. So I put the link to your group. So you have a Facebook group. So what is your focus in your Facebook group?
So the Facebook group itself, the focus is on it's on empowering women. It's on lifting each other up. It's about building community. And so we have all of these really amazing women. And right now I'm focused on a 7-day challenge where I'm teaching a new self-defense move, a new self-care tip, and a new boundary setting tool each day. But my goal for that group is to really uplift women and have resources available to be able to teach them and help each other out. It's a learning community. And so eventually my goal is to get, experts in different fields, like hopefully Haley, to come on to my When Women Rise group and be able to talk about, their expertise in the work that they do. And so right now I'm sharing what I know, and I'm really excited to be able to share that with the community. And it is a learning and growing community. And then hopefully, if there's future challenges that other people want to do, I can support them in that process of, here's this challenge that this person is doing. How great is this? And then also going live and having interviews with people in different areas and expertise. But it is a support community where we can all come together, and we have different themes each day. So every single day there's, like Motivation Monday or Tuesday tip. And I think you, obviously, Haley, you do that so well, where each day you have something, and I always am like, oh yeah, there we go. Let me put that in.
Yeah, those are awesome.
Yeah. So it's been wonderful. It's been amazing, actually, just to have this group, because it was only a few weeks ago that the group started, and it's just blown up. So it's been really exciting.
That's really cool. I am so excited for you. This is so needed. It's something that I've always believed in, and how important it is. This is the exact topic that my daughter did her Girl Scout Gold Award with.
Oh.
And it's just, we need more of this.
And and part of it, there's that resistance there when it comes to self-defense, and there's lots of thoughts of, oh, I don't want to let that into my life. I don't want to manifest that in my life. Oh, I don't want to think about that because that's too scary. I'm I'm about empowering people. So I love having the opportunity to work with people where the curriculum can be fun, it can be engaging, it can be an opportunity for you to learn more about yourself.
Mhm.
Um, but just recently, one of my clients, I had a client who just finished her 3-month package of self defense classes. And what I loved about it, she's Sri Lankan, so she's from Sri Lanka. She's in an arranged marriage, and she's very happy in her arranged marriage. Um, but she had an incident that happened with her 2-year-old daughter where she was walking in a grocery store, and this man kept on following behind her daughter and just thought her daughter was the cutest girl. Oh my gosh, her daughter has the prettiest hair, wanting to touch her hair. And her
Mhm.
daughter was shrinking. Her daughter was shrinking away. Um, and you just think about that when it comes to the women or girls in your life, and you think, God, I don't like that. And so right after this scenario happened, where she was locking the doors when she was getting into her car because this guy was following her, wanting to pick up her daughter, and she didn't say anything. She was saying, "Gosh, I didn't say anything. I'm so frustrated." And so we ended up unpacking that. Well, why do you feel that happened? And in Sri Lanka, there's very loose laws when it comes to sexual harassment, and she ended up dealing with a lot of that in Sri Lanka. So she had, an old man grope her when she was walking with her mom, and her mom just said, "Keep on moving. This is normal. It's fine." And so I don't think that I don't think we want that for our daughters. I don't think we want that for our friends. I don't think we want that for any women or most women. And understanding that it starts with us, and we have this opportunity. And I love working with people where they do have these past experiences, and they want to elevate themselves to a
Yeah.
different level of understanding. And I remember she was telling me at first that when she told her husband she wanted to take self-defense lessons, because she had been in my classes before COVID. When she told her husband she wanted to take 3 months of self-defense lessons with me, he laughed. He laughed at her, and that was, really,
That's hard.
that's hard, because you love your partner, and it's hard if they don't understand the reasons why
Mhm.
you're doing that. Like, what, you don't think I can protect you? What, there's like, why would you put yourself in a scenario where you're going to get attacked? Oh, there's so many things that can possibly happen. And so understanding that you're doing this to benefit yourself, you're doing this to empower yourself. By the end of the 3 months, he was helping her with all of the classes. He was like, oh my gosh, she hits so hard. It's insane. And I said, I know. She packs a huge punch for 4'9", you know? And I think that it is so important for the men in our lives to be able to see us thrive. I
Mhm.
I have I have a very loving dad who's been together with my mom for 48 years,
Mhm.
and it was important for him to be able to see me do the work that I'm doing. It was one of the most powerful things for him to be able to see me do this work now and be able to teach, and take my niece through doing self-defense lessons. I thought that was highly important. Um, so I really just loved being able to um, being able to go through that process, and teach, and and train people who maybe they aren't working out every single day. They're not doing crazy exercises or boxing or martial arts. They're just your average person doing another day at work. And oh, by the way, I want to make sure that I can heel palm smash somebody in the face really good.
And oh, by the way, I love that.
Yes.
That's really cool. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been awesome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Haley. I
This
really
was fun.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's do this again.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.